We are in a confederation with Burkina Faso and Niger, the confederation of Sahel states. So we don't need to say that we're going to ask for help from Burkina, we work together, we live together, we fight together, and we face these difficulties together. Because we are convinced that the difficulties we are going through have no other motivation than our country's choice to break the chain. The chain of dependence, to break the chain of subjugation, of colonial domination or domination by neighboring countries. And today we are on the path to dignity for our countries. Our countries are being attacked primarily to break this momentum and to ensure that other African countries do not follow the same path. We are naturally taking advantage of the Baymex event, which is an extremely important exhibition for defense and security. You know that today, defense and security are the #1 priorities for the newlyweds. And the holding of this exhibition here is already an important signal in the current geopolitical context we are facing, although this in itself is a response to show that Mali will not be distracted. Mali has a vision, Mali has a goal, because these kinds of side issues for us are just distractions. So Mali has chosen to strengthen its defense and security. Mali has recently chosen to do this with sincere partners. There have been tremendous efforts to equip Mali's defense and security forces who have achieved remarkable successes on the ground, defeating and eliminating terrorist groups, including the leaders of those groups. And on the ground today, terrorist groups cannot withstand the firepower of Mali's defense and security forces. This has forced them to change their strategy and now target less defended, more vulnerable targets. So you can see that we are very far from the scenario being described to you outside our country, saying that the terrorists are here, they're in Bamako, they're going to take this or that. We are not at all in that scenario. And the scenario that has been described to you and concocted, as we know, in backrooms by foreign intelligence services, but also on television talk shows. Mali is not the Bamako you see before you. Mali is standing tall. There are difficulties. There have been disruptions in the supply system. At one point, the state organized itself, put in place a strategic plan to resume supply, to ensure the security of convoys, and more generally, to intensify military operations for the security of the country. And gradually, you can see that hundreds of trucks are arriving every day to resume the supply of Bamako and other localities, and we will maintain these efforts. There is a government in Mali, there is a president in Mali, and we are in charge. There are defense and security forces, and above all, there are Malian people who are going through this hardship with dignity, with responsibility, and calmly, despite the difficulties that we are going through. We are in a confederation with Burkina Faso and Niger, the confederation of Sahel states. So we don't need to say that we are going to ask for help from Burkina. We work together, we live together, we fight together, and we face these difficulties together. Because we are convinced that the difficulties we are going through have no other motivation than the choice of our countries to break away. The chain of dependence, to break the chain of subjugation from colonial domination or domination by neighboring countries. And today we are on the path to dignity for our countries. Our countries are being attacked first and foremost to break this momentum and to ensure that other African countries do not follow this path. And that we have understood the political message behind it, and it only strengthens our determination. Because today, journalists, those who spread misinformation, certain journalists, certain television programs, need to understand that the fate of Mali, the fate of Malians, the destiny of the peoples of the AES will not be decided on television sets or in foreign intelligence services. It will be decided here by our people, by the leaders of these countries who refuse to accept this subjugation. I must say that as I speak to you now, at this moment, Mali is indeed able to ensure the reliable supply of hydrocarbons and petroleum products to its people. If you look at the supply of petroleum products in our country, it is essentially carried out by Malians. These are Malian private individuals who own their trucks, who run their businesses, who do business, who import from a number of ports, and use corridors to transport these products to Mali. The only problem that arises is not a matter of fuel availability or of the ability of the state or Malian private actors to cope. That's not the only issue. The real question is how to secure the supply chains. How can we secure the supply chain so that goods leave the border and reach consumers? And for that, we rely on our defense and security forces, who are currently hard at work, who have done an extraordinary job and a lot. Soldiers have lost their lives securing these convoys, but not only soldiers, many truck drivers and private operators, some of them have lost their lives as well. But despite the risks involved in this matter, I must commend the bravery of these Malian transporters alongside the defense and security forces who continue to take risks every day to ensure we are supplied. So the Malian state does not specifically need for external aid to deal with this situation. But with our friends, whether from Russia or Turkey or elsewhere, I think that BEMEX is already a symbol of what we can achieve with these countries. The first thing in a friendship is respect, trust, and solidarity. The fact that they have chosen today to come and work with us while the whole world says that Bamako is under bombardment. I believe that this is already an important sign that we are working with these countries during difficult times and not just when everything is going well.
The recent statement from the African Union calling for urgent action in Mali was also analyzed.
Naturally, regarding the statement itself, I must say that we were somewhat surprised, even a little taken aback, by certain aspects or particular expressions in this statement, which, from our point of view, clearly echoed the narrative of terrorist groups and their foreign state sponsors. This was especially apparent when they talk about what they describe as a blockade. And you know that there is no blockade. There are certainly obstacles to the supply of petroleum products. There are disruptions, but there is no blockade. For a continental organization to adopt this kind of narrative naturally raises concerns at other levels, because we believe that the African Union should have taken the necessary time to understand what is happening in Mali, to learn about the reality in Mali, and based on that, see what the expectations of Malians are and what their possible needs might be. And in this context, there has also been a call for urgent action in Mali. We believe that no action can be considered or undertaken in Mali without the Malians, without the consent of the Malian state, and without the Malian state itself requesting it. I think this too is something extremely important that we must keep in mind. Above all, this call for international action is all the more concerning because Mali has moved away from this kind of paradigm. The new paradigm promoted by the president of the transition, by the transitional authorities, as well as by the other presidents of the AES, Niger and Burkina Faso, is to trust ourselves, to take responsibility for ourselves, and to ensure that the security of our countries rests first and foremost on the shoulders of our own people, on the shoulders of the leaders, and in particular on the shoulders of the Malian defense and security forces. So we are not reaching out to the so-called international community to come to our aid, especially since over the past 10 years, Mali in particular has tried an experiment with the presence of several thousand international forces, which did not meet the expectations of Malians. We are at home in Mali. This is our country. The country belongs to us, and we are defending our country. Today, our army has the military capabilities that in the coming years, if that still hasn't been understood, so Mali is not here, I am not here, and the armed forces are not here trembling just because we've been told that there are a few fanatics not far from Bamako who are trying to take the city. Once again, I say, tell those people to wake up. To wake up. What Mali are they talking about? Without diminishing other countries, Mali is not Syria, Mali is not Afghanistan. So when they make their scenarios, they need to understand that they're talking about Mali, an eternal country, a country that has always been here, a great country, a great people. But who stands to gain if Bamako falls? Then who wants Bamako to fall? Why do they want Bamako to fall? When we answer these questions, we'll understand why, despite all the successes we've achieved, does this terrorism still persist? These terrorist groups that have drones, where do they come from? Who manufactures them? Who gives them to them? In areas where people can't even eat, who is giving them these shiny 4x4 vehicles, all these resources? When we answer this question, we'll realize that in reality it's others. Recently, I even saw just yesterday the head of French intelligence on television. And he said that he doesn't think the terrorists can take Bamako, that he's not telling us something. He's the only one who thinks that, not us. And that it's not even their intention to take Bamako. We say, oh, really? So you know what they want? How do you know what they want? This can help you understand just how far we've come today in terms of a collision between hybrid forces. In reality, these aren't terrorists, it's a proxy war. You know, security and stability are not destinations. We don't arrive at stability or security. They're processes. It's a journey in itself, made up of ups and downs, like many countries that have faced difficulties, that have gone through periods of peace, and it changes depending on the threat. Today, all over the world, there are uncertainties, there are threats. It's not malice. But we work every day to bring security to our people, to preserve the integrity of the national territory, to put our army in a position to defend our country. Let me remind you that today, the efforts made by Mali's defense and security forces are based almost exclusively on funding from Malian men and women. Countries like Mali, today we have no choice. We have to both walk and run at the same time. We can't say that once we achieve peace and security, then we'll focus on development. No, we are doing everything simultaneously. That's why, as you saw 48 hours ago, the president of the transition launched a project to build 15 modern hospitals across the entire national territory. A week ago, he inaugurated Mali's second lithium mine in Buguni with the creation of this second lithium plant. Today, Mali is among the world leaders in lithium production, which is now an essential product for the modern economy. Today, we are working on these different fronts, ensuring security, but at the same time ensuring the ultimate security, which is the well-being of our people. So our vision is clear, but unfortunately, there are some who do not want to let us work to achieve it, because for them, after they're gone, it should all go to ruin. But that will not happen, because this is a blessed country, an ancient country, and we remain steadfast. We are confident that we will pass this country on to future generations in the same condition in which we found it. We must also remember that we are not just responding to crises, and that Mali and the Malian people have established a vision document called Marikuran Jeta Seraka Ben Samba Fla Nibiu Oroni Sabama. This is the vision for Mali's development and emergence in the future, and which itself is fundamentally based on a comprehensive and far-reaching national strategy for emergence and sustainable development, which has been carefully designed and planned for the period from the year 2024 all the way through to the year 2034, and is also, without a doubt, an extremely important and significant document containing key commitments and essential provisions for the economic transformation and advancement of our country as a whole.